Survival shows can be full of drama. They can be tough on the trainees and also on the public that watches them, but they are also fun, and that's why we keep on watching them. However, no survival show is good and fair, but some can definitely be worse than others. Starlight Boys is the perfect example. I randomly started watching it because I saw so many people talking about this online and I wanted to form my own opinion. Now, having watched the first 2 episodes, I know for a fact I will not be supporting anything regarding this program in the future group. Let me explain why and let's talk about everything that's wrong with this show. Starting off with the judges, I have to say I had high hopes because the judging panel is made up by some experienced and talented idols and professionals who know a lot about music and the industry, but I was totally let down. I feel like some of their judgments did make sense and I could see where they were coming from, but then they would just do something totally dumb that made me question what the hell they were thinking. The judging method is as follows. Basically there are 4 levels that each trainee can be put in: 0 star, 1 star, 2 stars and all star, based on how well they performed in the audition. The problem with this ranking system is that the stars were given very loosely. For example, there were people who deserved 0 stars and got 1 star just because the judges thought they had potential to improve in the future, but this is not how it works, as judges should judge the trainees solely based on what they showcased in that preliminary performance. And this resulted in trainees with very weak skills being lumped in the same level with trainees that were objectively much more skilled but for some reason didn't impress the judges much. One example is Hang Hyul, former X1 member and current member of BAE173. He consistently showcased such strong vocals and great dancing throughout the performance, yet one of the judges thought he lacked charm in his dancing, whatever that means. But then you have Shin Chao, who had non-existent vocal skills, who was so rigid in his movements and looked terrified of performing, being given 1 star only for his visuals. So how are you gonna tell me that the difference between Shin Chao and Hang Hyul was only of 1 star when the actual difference between their skills and potential was abysmal? Not to mention Lee Seunggi was the main culprit. As he is an actor, it was clear he didn't fucking know what he was doing. Every judge unanimously thought Shin Chao should get 0 stars. But then here comes Seunggi saying he felt drawn to him for some reason and that visuals are also a talent and matter just as much as skills. And here you have the whole judging panel giving in and following Seunggi's wish. So you have actual idols and dance coaches being silenced by this cocky and entitled actor who is just talking out of his ass, as if his opinion mattered more than theirs. This whole judging system was a total joke. This looked like a shit show from the beginning. But it wasn't until halfway through episode 2 that this show started taking a seriously concerning turn. For the signal song test, all trainees, divided into their respective rankings, were supposed to dance the song continuously until the judges picked 56 people. The trainees only had a 30-second break before the song started again, and you could visibly tell how drained and exhausted they all got, both physically and psychologically. Most of them were able to perform well without problems for the first 3 rounds at least. But then things took a dark turn. One trainee was seen breathing from an oxygen machine. Others were seen collapsing to the ground as soon as the song ended. The trainees who had already been picked started crying while seeing their friends go through this pointless torture. I say it's pointless because first of all, even the best dancer and performer is gonna get exhausted and look sloppy in his movements after dancing for so long. So I don't get how the judges expected to be able to tell who was best if they all looked on the verge of fainting. Second of all, the judges could have had them performing 2 or 3 times at most, and then they could have just looked back at the shooting to decide who to pick. They could have just taken a video of them dancing and rewatched that. There was no need for these poor guys to perform in real time, not to mention that in this test, the judges were only evaluating them for their dancing, so they reformed the rankings without even taking into consideration their vocal abilities. So let's say there's a trainee that has good dance moves and good stamina and is able to pull through this torture with a smile on his face. He was more likely to be picked and rank above a trainee that maybe is miles ahead in terms of vocals and is just as good of a dancer, but just happens to have worse stamina and struggle more after dancing for a while. So these rankings were never gonna reflect the reality of a trainee's preparation and overall skills, which is what really matters in the end. This whole test was borderline torture, it's undeniable. And despite this, there was only one trainee, Sun Ying-hao, who dared to speak up about this mistreatment, only one out of all of them. And guess what happened? He was silenced by the other contestants and belittled by the judges. simply for saying that idols are humans and not robots. Lee Seung-gi, who is undoubtedly the main offender in this fucking show, was quick to invalidate his concerns by saying that that's just what idols have to do, except it's not. No idol will ever find himself having to dance to so many songs in a row without pause. In fact, I doubt that the already debuted idols who are participating in Starlight Boys had any problem in dancing to the song 4 or 5 times in a row, as they're already used to live performances. The problem is that this torture went on for almost 20 rounds of performances. But of course, if Lee Seung-gi says that it's normal, then we should just listen to him. A man who has probably never danced in his fucking life cause he's a goddamn actor. But whatever. Back to Sun Ying-hao. He begged the judges to stop, and they didn't listen. But the other trainees were also guilty of not listening and blindingly follow whatever unjust rule was given to them. One of them said, "I appreciate your concern, but if that's what I have to do, I would do this all day," which is such a toxic mindset that this cruel industry has taught them. But you know what? You can't really save someone that doesn't want to be saved. Sun Ying-hao couldn't have helped him, as much as we cannot help our idols by sending protest trucks, by trending hashtags and mass mailing companies about mistreatment, because if no idol is ever willing to speak up, there's objectively nothing we can do and nothing is ever gonna change. Companies will just disregard what we say if they see their idols are not complaining and always follow the rules, whatever they may be. But thank God in this industry there are still people that are willing to speak up, even if it puts them at danger, and it's only thanks to them that something might change for the better. But there is something even more concerning about the response Seung-gi gave Sun Ying-hao. Lee Seung-gi went on and said how it's the fans' right to be able to enjoy a performance and have a good time, and it's not fair to take this right away from them by stopping the performance. This is such a dangerous and harmful statement for 2 reasons. First of all, because it brainwashes the trainees into thinking the fans are heartless and only care about the show going on regardless of their well-being, when in reality there are tons of fans that genuinely care for idols' health. But by inculcating this idea in the trainees' head, they will eventually grow to resent their fans and perceive them as the cause of their suffering and as the reason the mistreatment persists. Second of all, this notion is dangerous for the fans to hear as well, because you are putting all the power in the fans' hands, thinking they can control everything about their idols, making them think they have a right over these idols. There are already enough entitled fans out there, and validating their entitlement is the worst thing a company can do. We've seen it with Rise and Seung-hwan, for example. By kicking him out the group following fans' requests, SM basically showed the fans they have all the power in their hands, that they just need to ask and the company will comply, no matter what their request is. I think these are more than valid reasons to not support this show. You could argue that every survival show is the same. It's just that Starlight Boys is showcasing what usually goes on behind the scenes, and maybe you are right, but this doesn't change things at all. Just because everybody is guilty of doing fucked up shit, it doesn't make it okay. Just cause something is widespread, it doesn't mean it's normal. We should boycott the show and not give it any views. If you still want to know what's going on and check on the trainees, then just watch the show on non-official streaming sites, but not on official channels. And also, I'm encouraging you to not participate in the voting when it will open, so that we can let the production know that less people are keeping up with the show than they expected. And as much as it is sad, we should also not support the final group when they debut, because think about it for a second. If they were willing to broadcast the disgusting treatment of their trainees, imagine what goes on behind the scenes that we cannot see, probably something even worse. So keep this in mind when it comes to deciding where you stand. I wouldn't want to support a group who is potentially being mistreated like this by everyone around them. I don't know about you. In conclusion, I'm not here to tell you what to do, just to tell you what would be the right thing to do in this situation, but then the choice is yours. I'd simply find it hypocritical to see nobody boycotting this show despite the clear mistreatment, just to then complain on Twitter about how your faves are being mistreated because you don't like the outfits they're given, or because you think they deserve more lines compared to another member. There are much bigger problems, and I can't believe some people might want to turn a blind eye on this situation. There are inevitably going to be people that do not want to boycott the show, and you should just let them be. You can't force anybody to do anything, and attacking these people is not the solution. What matters is that you know where you stand and you know you are doing the right thing, regardless of what other people choose to do. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video and let me know what you think in the comments. Bye guys.